Hello, my name is Monica Swift. I am an MSIS candidate in the Department of Occupational, Workforce, and Leadership Studies. My practicum title is Sponsored Programs Contract Study at Texas State University. Dr. Walter Horton, Associate Vice President of Research and Federal Relations, was my practicum supervisor. The purpose of this practicum was to gain knowledge and understanding of contract management and to assess responsibilities of the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs staff. The location was at Texas State University in the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs. I had 3 practicum objectives. For my cross-cultural global awareness objective, I worked with the Staff Council Fundraising Committee to raise funds for scholarships. For my intellectual development objective, I conducted a metric study of fiscal year 2017 contracts in the ORSP office and completed a contract training course. My career exploration objective was to build my professional network and shadow contract managers. The practicum was essential for an assessment of best practices in the ORSP office and for personal intellectual development. Research administration, or sponsored programs management, is a relatively new field. There is no career development plan for research administrators. The profession developed through a rapid growth in grant-funded research for universities, R&D companies, and hospitals globally. And educational career structure did not grow along with the field. Because of the discrepancies in growth, there are no common professional standards for research administrators. Trindade and Agasto state in their article, Research Management in Portugal, A Quest for Professional Identity, that professional identity is a starting point for establishing educational standards and professional development. In 2012, Texas State University achieved Emerging Research Institution status, in which $14 million annual expenditure threshold and external funding was reached, among other qualifications. This rapid growth at Texas State University made my practicum an essential first step in understanding the university's future capabilities. I have 3 practicum highlights I would like to discuss. First, I would like to discuss the ineffective leadership of the Staff Council at Texas State. I worked with Texas State Staff Council's fundraising committee to raise funds for scholarships. At our first meeting, I was encouraged by our discussion. We discussed expanding our donor base beyond the Texas State staff with a golf cart raffle that included the San Marcos community. Additionally, we wanted to say thank you to our donors. Shaker, Borden, and Kinker's case study at Indiana University showed an increase of donations when donors received a follow-up or a thank you. Both of these ideas were discouraged by the leadership of the Staff Council. As the practicum continued, it became obvious that the leadership of the Staff Council was ineffective. They did not have full faith in their fundraising chair or the committee. The fundraising committee's entire purpose was to raise funds for scholarships, and their biggest obstacle was their own leadership. A second highlight was my contract metric study. I conducted a metric study of all research and sponsored programs contracts at Texas State for fiscal year 2017. A metric study had never been done at Texas State. Although the ORSP leadership had a really good idea about the funding sources, they didn't know definitively. My study showed that nearly a third of all contracts in 2017 originated from the state of Texas. PT in the table means pass-through. That means the original source of funds came from a different source than the sponsor in which the contract is with. Additionally, I found that 81% of all contracts were initiated by the sponsor. That means the sponsor sent the contract to Texas State for negotiation. Again, this information was very important to ORSP leadership for future staff responsibilities and best practices. Lastly, my practicum provided opportunities for me to build my professional network. Earlier this month, I reached my 1-year anniversary in the ORSP office. I spent considerable time learning my daily job duties and building relationships with my pre-award and post-award colleagues. My practicum provided opportunities for me to extend my professional network. Dr. Horton, my practicum supervisor, is also the Associate Vice President of Research and Federal Relations. Our weekly meetings provided an opportunity for us to learn more about each other and to develop a professional relationship. Additionally, the opportunity that had the greatest impact on the success of my practicum was shadowing and meeting with the contract staff. I would have been able to complete my metrics study and my online training without the contract staff, but I would not have been able to get the full experience or understanding of the nuances of contract review and negotiations without them. They owed me nothing. They could have put me off or limited my time with them, but they didn't. They allowed me to ask all my questions, and they answered them honestly and fully. I appreciate their professionalism, and I now have a greater understanding of their contract knowledge. I would like to discuss 4 literature highlights. Shaker, Bornett, and Kinker's Workplace Giving in Universities, a U.S. case study at Indiana University, was an important study for my cross-cultural global awareness objective. They found that those who believed in their institution's purpose and felt they belonged to the community gave at higher rates. Additionally, one of the factors that influenced giving is treatment of donors after giving. Since raffle tickets are sold face-to-face, the fundraising committee was going to give thank you pins to those who purchase raffle tickets. This will encourage a more personal, unified giving community on campus that can create sustainable philanthropic activities among staff in the future. As I stated previously, the staff council leadership became the fundraising committee's greatest obstacle in expanding our donor base. This is very disappointing. Marina, Davis, Hamilton, and Charminsky's study, Evaluating Research Administration, Methods and Utility, surveyed 175 research administrators regarding their institution's method of evaluation. 28% used formal metric studies. Tufts University conducted a metric study to assess the performance of their sponsored programs office. My metric study characterized contracts by type, quantity, initiating institution, and complexity. It established a benchmark for future contract negotiations at Texas State. Texas State has been growing rapidly as a research institution. The study was important because infrastructure must be in place to support Texas State's future efforts. Another literature highlight was Trindade and Agosto's study, Research Administration in Portugal, A Quest for Professional Identity. Pre-award staff and contract managers at Texas State fall into the mid-management third space that Trindade and Agosto discuss. They described this third space as somewhere between academia and non-academia. Their study shows that most research administrators have a master's or a PhD. The most common professional identifying areas to describe research administrators fall in the academic realm, but the administrative roles lean toward the non-academic. Furthermore, Branson, Franken, and Penny's study, Middle Leadership in Higher Education, a relational analysis, provided insights on middle management. Middle management leaders are acutely aware of the ramifications of their decisions and actions above and below their own position. It is a delicate balance of mutual respect of specialized knowledge and position by all parties. Middle management power lies in relationships. Middle leaders have the ability to persuade and influence others, but their power does not extend beyond relational in general. They are bound by their position, but must appease those they interact with promoting the mission of the institution. Branson, Franken, and Penny's findings are applicable to middle management position, including research administrators in a university-sponsored program's office. Research administrators are middle management leaders. We work with faculty every day to produce and submit quality proposals. We work with department staff to provide them with the tools they need to help faculty. We negotiate with ORSP management as advocates for researchers. Issues that middle management face are tensions in peer hierarchies, position, authority, and trust relations. Middle management relationships are built upon trust, transparency, and consistency, and the power they hold is influence and persuasion. To encourage middle leadership relationships, higher leadership must find value in middle management. They must be patient to allow those relationships to cultivate and flourish so that they do not undermine middle management's role as an integral part of the university. Reflecting on my practicum, I think my greatest strength was intellectual development and new contract knowledge. I had full access to 2017 contract reviews and correspondence. I had great guidance and shadowing experiences with the contract staff, and my online federal contract training course helped connect the theoretical to the real-world situations. I learned a lot in a short period of time. With the rapid accumulation of new knowledge, I found that my weakness was the inability to learn all the laws and codes in depth. There are many laws and codes. Through the practicum, I learned to recognize and understand which laws and codes are appropriate for universities, but I do not have the functional in-depth knowledge that the contract staff has. They gained their knowledge over a period of years, so I don't expect to have their knowledge base in just 8 weeks, but it is obvious I still have a lot to learn. Over the course of the practicum, I became very familiar with Texas Parks and Wildlife contracts. I've gained confidence in my ability to review those contracts with competence. I would like to continue to review Texas Parks and Wildlife contracts in the future. I believe it'll provide continued opportunities for me to continue exploration and career advancement. The biggest disappointment in my practicum was with my work with the staff council. At the beginning of the practicum, I was excited to help raise funds for scholarships. We had a great first meeting, like I mentioned earlier, and the leadership's micromanagement of the fundraising committee threatened my cross-cultural global awareness experience. I fulfilled my commitment to the fundraising committee, but it didn't feel like I was helping the Texas State community. It was a disappointing experience, and I, as a Texas State staff member, have seen enough to know that I don't want to be part of the staff council. In the near future, I would like to share my metric study results with my pre-award colleagues. It will provide insights on the contract side of sponsored programs. Additionally, I have compiled a list of common problematic terms and conditions and their corresponding appropriate responses. The list can be used as a reference tool. After graduation, I will begin studying for my Certified Research Administrator exam. The CRA is a credential of formal recognition of competence in research administration. The body of knowledge is extensive. My practicum knowledge and contracts is part of the body of knowledge, so I'm a step closer to achieving my CRA goal. Although I have a lot to learn and achieve in sponsored programs, I aspire to be a director in a sponsored programs office. On the YouTube page below, please indicate your anonymous preference for this practicum by clicking on one of these 2 icons. Also, please post your comments or questions in the YouTube comments section below. I respond to your inquiries posted between April 6th and 17th through this webpage.